Hey, what's up? This is Mike Taylor, Battleship Cobra. If you want to learn how to do SAP Business One queries, this is your video. It's for all my Sapiens. Let's go.
So you want to do queries. Well, this is it. This is my first video in a series. Obviously, there's such a huge scope of things that you can do, but I'm going to give you the basics so you can start working with things. Don't get discouraged if you do not understand certain things. There's kind of a learning curve, and there's lots of resources online, and I hope to do more videos. So definitely comment below on what you want me to cover. I'll do follow-up videos. I'll try and focus on specific things that we want to do. So to get started, the first thing you need to know is view system information. View system information. The system doing queries is nothing without that, so turn that on. What that allows you to do is to see what the table is that you're working with. So in this case, let's just go to me. And you can hold your mouse over a field and you can see at the bottom there OCRD and then card name. So OCRD is actually the table. If you're not really familiar with how SQL works, it's what's called a relational database. So you have a table, and really you can think of a table as a spreadsheet. Like you can literally think of it as a spreadsheet, and I'll show you what that looks like later. And then you just literally take, one field and join it to the next. So you have sheet 1 and sheet 2, and then something is linked to another thing in order so that you don't have to have this one gigantic Excel spreadsheet. You have codes that link to other spreadsheets, and then the other spreadsheets or tables have different pieces of information. So as long as you keep that kind of in your mind, it'll make more sense. So let's talk first about the query generator. So this is a way to start. Tools, queries, query generator. This is where most of my queries begin. So an easy way to think about it here, OCRD, I want to do something with business partners first. I click up here in the left-hand corner, push tab. I can type OCRD and see that this is a business partner. So I can double click here, or I can just literally type OCRD tab and it'll bring up here. So like a spreadsheet, you could think of this as each one of these as being a column. So each one of these is a column, and you see here all these columns. So this is all the information. So you have things like properties in here. Where are you at? Properties, where are you at? Where are you at? Okay, so these are all the properties. They're under the properties tag. Every one of these fields is going to be related here. So all this information you can see is either directly on the OCRD table because it's part of this, and you can see all the different fields in there on the bottom. So you have like email, fax, etc. You have all that stuff in there, and all that will be in here. Fax, email will be floating around in there somewhere. So what we're going to do is very simply go card code, card name, card code, card name, BP type, so that's BP type, and then we're just going to check it out. So I do this and I push execute. So you can see it's just like a big spreadsheet. I mean, if you look at the total list of business partners, you have leads, customers, etc. So you're going to want to understand the data a little bit more, and occasionally I'll use this. It's the database reference. So let me just pop this open. We're going to do reference manuals. We're going to do the database reference manual here, and I'll put this in the description. It never works properly there. So, oh, it's on a lot of tables. Business partner. Okay, so now you can see table OCRD. I can go card type. I can see C, S, and L. Those are the valid properties, obviously customer, supplier, and lead. But there's a lot of different things in this too. So this database reference is occasionally useful to see what tables things are linked to. So what I'll look here is I'll look at a group code OCRG. So if I go back, if I go back here, and I see this bold here. You can add this group, and you can easily find out what table it's related to. Click and hold it with your left mouse button and just drag it over here. And it's going to do all the joins here for you. Excuse me. So you can see here it added the second table, OCRG. and it added it on there. So you can see OCRG is one thing and OCRD is one thing. So I'm just going to show you this here. And this is SQL Management Studio. Come here, log in. This should be on your main SAP server. Right click, new query, makes a new query window. So I'm just going to type this, select star from OCRD. Star just means give me everything, give me the whole table, and then select star from OCRG. Those are the two tables, and I could just execute this. And I can see here if I make a little bit extra space, I could see both of these spreadsheets. So like I was saying here, you have one table which is OCRD, and then you have these links here, so 107, 116. So the thing is, if you wanted to change the name of this customer or customer group, you can see here it's 107 to 107 construction. I could literally just change the name, but the link will stay there. So it's a very fast way to link things, where if I tried to change construction, then I would have to be modifying primary key links, and that's not really good for corruption, and it's not very fast. So you'll also notice that there are other pieces of information here that are listed that you don't need to or want to replicate in the OCRD table. You want to keep it small and compact. So really all you need to do then is link these tables together, and then you can get the group name, and that'll pull everything together using a join. So I'm going to join group code to group code, and then I'm going to pull the group name. So this will automatically show you here, and this is the syntax you need to use. Inner join OCRG T1, and this is just a table alias. So instead of like, here, let me just output this. So a tool I like to use here, Notepad++, you could just download this for free and set it to SQL syntax. So there's a smart way to format these, and then there's a bad way to format it. So this is how I'll usually do it. I have my own personal preference. Everybody has their own personal preference how they do it. And no way is really right or wrong as long as you can read it yourself, but this is how I like to do it. So I have my select clause. And these are the table aliases here, T0. So T0, I could literally just type OCRD every single time, but a lot of the times these tables, like this is a fairly compact short table, but why not use T0? It just makes it really simple. So OCRG has one and OCRD has one. So we've done that. So then you get here where you can also add OCRG T1 names as well. So for each OCRD, we're going to get an OCRG record. So I'm going to click execute. And you see I have the code, the name, and then the actual group name there because I linked it. So you can see I can limit these things, and I can put them in there. I can add this to, I can add this here to my query that I've written, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this way is a lot easier to read, and any other way you're going to kind of get this big long mush, and you won't know what, these are the columns you're pulling, these are the tables you're using, these are the joins, and so you can kind of carry on here, and you can say where, so you can use the where clause to filter. So we only want customers today. We're going to add invoices to them, so there's no point in having vendors. So we're going to say card type. Let's jump back in here. Card type equals, and we can see that it's C. So C equals single quotes. You don't use double quotes very often, or just quotations. It could be considered not really used in SQL. So you have this single quote, C, single quote. I'm going to execute this again. And you see we filtered just for BP type. So the other thing is you don't need this column exposed in order to filter by it. So you can see here I just happen to have that shown just for my reference. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add invoices here to this, and just to make it more complicated. So let's go to sales. AR invoice. And I've worked with this long enough to know already, but if you hold your mouse over this, you say it's oinv.cardcode. You can see that's how it's linking. And you can see that the rows are actually, it's the INV1. So all the headers are going to be like OINV, and then all the rows are going to be INV1, because for this invoice, you're going to have one posting date in the header, one due date in the header, one document date in the header, and then each row is going to be an item. So you don't need a gigantic table that has every single posting date. So you're going to find OINV, select star from OINV, and OINV is going to have things like, again, doc type, item or service type, doc dates. It's going to have things unique to that. So it's going to have the sums of the document rather than the row sums, and it's going to have that. If you add in star from INV1, then you're going to get every single row related to that. So you can see doc entry 1 is equal to doc entry 1. So I can see that if I pulled up the very first invoice, it'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. So let's just say there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to see those. But the thing is, the system, in order to make it faster, will already sum this up, save the header information, so you don't always need to reference the row information. So this makes it simpler for us to pull. So let's take OINV and link it on here. I'll just do it this way to show you. Invoice, this is the invoice header. Add this here and see how it links it. So you can see it inner joins it, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And OINV T2 on card code equals that. Okay, so what it's going to do is it's going to join there. But now let's see when I run this. What a mess. Why is it doing this? What is going on here? I have so many records and everything. So what happens is, what you've done is you have actually linked the BP code on the invoice. So you're going to see every single invoice per row. So what I can do is, to show you what I mean, is add, say, the document number, and let's see that go there. So we're going to see each one, 1, 8. So for each one, it's going to show that this document 1 was Mike Taylor, and each one of those parameter, and I can make this wider. Just double click this here. Earthshaker, Machina, da 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 da. Right? So you can see all these documents. So this is a problem, and well, it's not a problem if you want to do, say, document number, have a doc date, the due date. You want to have, you know, document total. Okay, so that's perfect. So you get each code, each document, and each document total. Okay, but what if you don't want each individual invoice in there? You just want the totals per like a range of time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sum by this, and then we're going to group by these. So then you get one big total, and then we just group it by the customer. So in this example, I'm just going to get rid of all this stuff. And you can do this for more fields. I'm just going to make this super duper simple. So we can say group by these two, and then we want to sum for that group these ones. So this is called an aggregate function. So let's run this. So you can see this is a total, and this is unfiltered. I mean, you could say where the date is between X and X dates, and you can even make that a parameter if you wanted, and that would be something that would be pretty straightforward. This is a very simple thing. So you'll notice if I don't do this in the group, it'll give me an error. So it'll say server column card code is invalid in this list because it's not grouped in the logical function. So what happens is this is trying to sum for this, but it doesn't know how to group it. And this order is actually quite important because, you know, you can group by different things, and then so you could do things where it kind of totals in a different way. In this case, we just want it by card code, and card name will always logically be related because the card code and the card name are always going to be together. So it's grouping by card code, which is the same as the card name anyway. So we're just really just grouping them together in order to get the document total. Confused? Hopefully not, but anyway, ask questions below. So I'm grouping by it and I'm summing it. So you can sum, total, and as a note here, you'll see that this function has no column name. So we're just going to give it an alias, so sum, because it doesn't know, like, it can be a sum of a calculation, and you have to give it a name. So we're going to just say total. So I just do a single quote to make a string, give it a name. So you can do this a bunch of different ways. You can say as totals. I just keep it simple. I just put totals there with a space, and it'll do it here. So you got totals. So you see the raw output query here again. Let's take this and Notepad++. It's free, just grab it. It's really easy, and it helps you to understand. It helps you to highlight things when you're debugging something that's much, much bigger query. This one obviously is very simple. Whoops. So I like to tab things in so I can see the main things. I'm going to see inner join here. I'm going to see my where clause. Usually I'll just leave that as one line if it's very simple. So this makes it easy to review. You can, I'm just naturally clicking save when I'm not going to save it. So this allows you to see this. So there's also order by. So you can see that BP name is not in order. Maybe you want to order it by BP name regardless of BP code. Come back, sort by, and then we'll just say, let's go back to OCRD. We're going to sort it by name. So then it'll sort it by name. So then you have this extra thing in here, order by. Which is the last one. So this is kind of my normal syntax. Darn it. See, I'm just used to saving it there. Save this, run it in here, execute. So this is the same thing. This is a little easier to debug. So say I screwed something up here. That didn't screw it up. Let's do something in here. Okay, something like that. So you could say level 15, state line 9, incorrect syntax. So this will help you debug what you're doing. So you can see 9, it really clearly indicates to you, hey, you messed up here, here's where you need to fix it. You can click that, you can see everything returns to normal, and this is a great way to debug what you're doing. So I like to do it that way, and this will save me a lot of time in my debugging. And it's a good way to get things going when you don't understand, because it'll highlight everything instantly, kind of like when you're writing in Word and it's kind of highlighting various things. So that is my tip for what you should use. I use a combination of Notepad 2. I use Notepad 2 as well as Notepad++. I probably like Notepad 2 better. So that's another one you can download. And then I use SQL Management Studio. And that basically gives me all the tools that I need to kind of debug what I'm doing, and that's basically as simple as it is. I search SCN, or I just search Google. I say inventory report for batches, SAP Business One, and the SCN will work. I don't like to search within SCN. I just search Google directly, and it's generally going to come up. So the last thing I want to talk about is parameters. So we'll talk about this. I'm just going to simplify this a little bit here, and I'm going to just clear all this out and clear that function. So I'm at OCRD. So I'm going to select card code, BP card type, and then I'm going to say where card type equals, and this is an SAP specific functionality. So I'm going to set here, I'm going to do a variable, I'm going to do single quotes around this. What's going on here? Single quotes around this guy here. And then what that's going to do is this special query syntax is for parameters. I'm going to run this, and this is going to give me customer vendor lead. So I can say where it's a customer, and then this is just going to give me customers here. So I'm going to run this again. I can say vendor. And you can see it's just the S type. So you could do this with most things. This gets a little bit complicated, but say you wanted to do dates, or say you wanted to do different things like that, this is one way to do it. So I want to just highlight if you use this in SQL, it ain't going to work. So you'll see here, it'll just be like, what? what are you talking about? And it won't give you anything. So the last thing I want to talk about here quickly is when you write this and you have this data out, you can copy this data, click copy here. This will output to Excel. You can literally click copy and then paste directly into Excel. That's a new feature since probably 9.1. Or you can output this to a file. So this will output it to just a flat file like a CSV or to a CSV that you can put in Excel format. So those are the two things. If you want to save this to be rerun again, click save. I'll just say general, I'll say business partner query, and then I'll save it. And then I can always go back to query manager, general, business partner query, select the customer there, and then run it. So that's a good way to do it. If you happen to have B1 up, it's a great product from Boyum. You can save it to the sidebar to run the queries from there. But out of the box SAP, you can't save a query into the sidebar. You have to do it from the query manager. So you can save these. This is one way to make a base for a crystal report too. So you can write a really complex query and save it as an SQL view and then build a crystal report on it. Or you can just use this as a nice raw output to Excel, copy this data, boom, copy it to Excel, do what you're going to do with that. So this is just an introduction to queries with SAP Business One. Please subscribe for more. I try to do one video per week, and kind of the most popular topic or the topic I kind of feel like will have the most impact will be done. Subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything. It really helps me out. Give me a like. And for now, see you later from Battleship Cobra. Have a wicked day. Peace.